So welcome. On Instagram I'd posted this fly, which is The Bastard by Mr. Mikael Frodin, and somebody asked how to tie it, and I thought, well, I might as well give it a go on the old YouTube, so here we are. It's a Spey style fly. The only thing I'm going to change here is I'm tying on plastic rather than a bottle tube, and I'm changing the tail material because I didn't like this stuff. It was called fluoro fibre or something. It doesn't trim as well as the normal, whatever this fibre's called. If anybody wants to know anything, just bloody leave a comment or whatever the kids do. Right, so this is my inner tube, outer tube, cut at an angle, inner tube inside the outer tube, and leaving a 10mm gap at the end for your hook. And the first thing to do is to grab some mylar tinsel. This is readily available in various shades, but I like this one. This is oh, you're speaking to a man with no memory. You're not even speaking to a man, actually. Mirage tinsel. So you can make this tag as long as you like. Yeah, I like it quite long, actually. It adds a nice little flash point. This is super tough, this stuff. You can really yank on it. Sorry, my vice is going all over the place because I have a brand new vice arriving on Tuesday and I'm using the backup just now, and it doesn't clamp very well to the desk. So we've tied this on. Don't worry about any little tag ends because there's a lot of tie to go on top of this. So we take our tail fibre. It can be anything you like, really. But this is from Lesonin, I believe. And it's called tail fibre. It's lovely, actually. So just address that onto the top. I've got about, I would say, 5mm wide strip of this stuff. And you want to tie it in quite long because we're going to trim it. And quite tight turns, 2, 3, 4. 4 will hold it. Then I like to just keep a hold of this. And then from the end of the tube, just to keep your proportions, just start to taper it. And this stuff cuts nicely with decent sharp scissors. There we go. That's pretty good taper, actually. You can have this as long as you like, but I'm using pretty long wing material, so I'll have it quite long. And then if you wrap quite loosely over this stuff, it won't twist as much. So just a few loose wraps to get that in, and then just bind it down on the way back. And this will all trim this about halfway down the body. So we'll end up tying to about here, I reckon. So we'll stop about here because the front half is going to be all dubbing and a palmer tackle. And at this point, tie in some oval tinsel as advertised rather handily here. I like a medium. It's just the right size for trapping stuff. Trapping the hackles in. So I'll just grab some of that. And we're going to do a fully dubbed body on this one. So bind that down. You want that well tied in because we're going to yank on it. And so for the dubbing for this one, the dubbing is, let me refresh myself on that. Can't remember what the dubbing was. Oh, it was gold. If I could find my dubbing, I can't see for this light. Here it is. So it's this gold and olive mixed up. It just looked like the right colour. There's all sorts in this. Gold, olive, rainbow. It's all the spare bits of dubbing I've ever used, and it's called a bastard, so it might as well be a bit of a mongrel at the same time. So just get that started. This vice is going everywhere. Get it started and then start to tighten as you wind, because you don't want all this to fall off. It will get ribbed. And we're going to brush it out too. So that's we'll do the front half in gold. Just a little bit at a time with this stuff. And we want a good layer in here. This will shine through the other materials. It's a lovely effect. So quite loose, not that loose, but I'm just taking a few lines through that to secure it a little better. And you should be just at the end of the join by now. We're going to tie most of the fly just on the bottom half of the join. This is going everywhere. So then we need I'm using an olive. This is actually a clink hammer hackle. I don't know how to describe them. A bugger hackle, perhaps. I've got a stash of them I've had for years from old dry fly capes. And I'm fast running out, so I need to find an alternative. So just strip the fluff away and tie that on. Tie it on really well. Oops. I'm going to put a bit of wax on the thread. They can be quite slippy, these hackles. So just a few extra turns for luck. And then give it one full turn at the head. And then come down in evenly spaced turns all the way. You need a long hackle for this, if you hadn't guessed. All the way to the end. This technique's called palmering. And then still holding this tight, bring round the oval tinsel and give it a really good sharp tug. That's okay, just the end of the feather broke there. See, I've pulled that and the fly's actually rotated on the needle, but that's fine. So I like to just hold the tube and then pull very, very tightly. going in even spaced turns up the body to secure that hackle in, and keep it as tight as you can without breaking it, obviously, because we're going to attack this with Velcro in a minute. So I'm just sweeping all that back. It'll spring back up, don't worry. And then still keeping this tight, bring your thread round. Oh, my vise is falling off. Just bring your thread round. And then pull tight. Keep the tension on the thread all the time. And then about 5 turns just to lock that off and be safe. That's a few more than 5. It doesn't matter, there's so much material on these that you can get away with a few extra turns. It's not the same as tying a traditional Scottish fly. So then, just grab your waist end from the palmering and nip that off. The tail's probably a bit longer than usual, but I quite like that. It's for me anyway, so I couldn't care less, to be honest. I'm just tidying up some little fibres there. Yeah, that's pretty good. So next is some two-tone fox, which I've just put away, haven't I? Here it is. So this is really fine fox, and it's two-tone. I got it from Lesin and Tying Materials, and you want quite a thick bunch of this because we're going to cover half the tube with it. And I want this, first of all, take your fur that you've just cut and just give it a little brush to take the under fur out. There's not much in this under fur wise, it's really cracking stuff. So then I just like to roll it in my fingers just to get it together, and I want the tips of this to just extend past the tail. So I want it in right there. So just pinch the whole fly and then very loosely bring the thread round and pull tight and just give it 2 or 3 turns, and then you can leave the tag end on. Then you can manipulate it with your nail, and you want it halfway down, covering the entire top half of the tube. It should cloak the body. You'll see why in the water. That's what gives you the teardrop shape. So now I'm just holding this tight. I'm holding the materials tight with my left hand and really binding down hard. I'm even tying back a couple of turns just to really get it secured. I don't want to use glue with these soft materials. And you can see that see how the palmered hackle here holds the wing up. See that? So that's the idea. So now we can trim this stuff away. Just be as neat as you can. At the end of the day, these are quite forgiving to tie if you're careful. So we're always tying forward now. So any of these little fluffy bits, just cover them over. And then put your chosen flash in. For this one, I'm going to go for bronze. And we'll make this one quite flashy actually. So just 6 or 7 strands. Just loosely over that a couple of times. And then, this is quite a bold flash. So you can either double this over and have double the flash in your fly, or trim away, which I'm going to do. I don't want this too flashy because I quite like the sort of somber colour scheme. Just tie that in. And it's our first hackle, which is orange guinea fowl, which I appear to have lost also. Guinea fowl. Yeah, here we are. So you want a nice big hackle for this. And I hate bagged hackles, I hate them. That'll do it. They're a necessary evil, unfortunately. Now I've got them fucking everywhere. Oh my goodness. Cut. I'm fighting pheasant feathers. Right. Plate. So get a pretty big one. We want these nice webby hackles, and just take the bottom off. We don't want the fluffy stuff for once. Just pull back all the fibres, introduce that. I'll show you how I tie these on. So just 4 turns, then grab the waste piece, give it a sharp tug. That'll break off a couple of fibres and give you a couple to fold back, thus securing said hackle. I'm tying everything really well down, and I'll need hackle pliers for this. So this style of fly, it's a bit lighter than a normal Templedog. Don't ask me why that is. It's just the materials and all that kind of thing. You could tie it much heavier if you liked. The process is the same. So there's only a couple of turns in that hackle anyway. And that'll fan out and flicker behind the turbo cone in the water. So 5, 6, 7, 8. That was a good 8 turns in there. Don't be tempted to yank this off, because you'll bugger it up. Believe me, I have many examples of that. There we go, that's a pretty nice little fly already actually. So next we want the second wing, which is fiery brown. I got this really nice fiery brown. It's lovely. I use this or Fatacorvas or Fatagorvas. I don't know what the the actual pronunciation is. So again, we want that's a little too much. We want enough to sort of shroud this bottom wing, but it should also be translucent at the same time. So we'll see how we do that in a second. So just present it, and we want this longer than the underwing. I like to just mix the materials in my fingers until you're happy. Yep, that's perfect. So just grab the whole fly and pinch it, keep it tight, loose turn, couple of turns to hold it, and then manipulate it into position. So you want to cover half the tube again, the top half of the tube, and then you should be able, you can see right through to that flash. I don't know if, I'm scared to move my crappy vise because it keeps falling off the feckin' desk. So that's us so far. You need to start being neat now. So every turn's deliberate. There's no extra ones anymore. That was a bit of a shock to you, wasn't it? I should have told you to start being neat ages ago. Right, I've just cut half the wing off, but that's fine. Now at this point, you can put in more flash. And I'm not going to, because I've got hundreds of flashy flies. Like this fella. And there's plenty of flash in the body of this fly anyway. Oh, we didn't brush it out. Not to worry. So I'm gonna brush the dubbing out. I've forgotten to do it before I put this wing on, but that doesn't matter. Just hold the wing. And this is a Velcro brush by Stonefo. And just give that a good brushing, rubbing, a good friction session. Whoops, just moved the light as well. You should do this before you put the wings on, ideally. But not to worry, same effect. So I'm brushing down and back. There we go. I'll just move that light. So this has been a disaster so far. My light keeps moving and my vise keeps falling off. So I'm just neatening that up, making sure it's in tight. Then we would want to add some JC or a jungle cock, which isn't funny, Grant. And as this is for me, I don't really care. I'll pick two decent ones. So I've just got my two jungle cocks. Cocks? Cockeye? Cockeye? Right, so just strip back what you don't need. And I would say there's about an inch maybe. An inch of cock. No. So just roughly place that where you want it to be. 2 or 3 turns in, and it's too long, so I'm just going to pull that. Hold it down with this finger, and gently pull it with this finger, and then it won't twist. And I'm aiming for, I want the eye to be there or thereabouts, the hook. It depends on the quality of your cock, to be honest. No sniggling at the back. So I've got flash in my beard. Right. I'm just gonna repeat that on this side. Perfect. So just checking they're both the same length. Yeah, and then I like to hold them in position and then just bind them down. I'm pulling this thread as tight as it'll go. It's really is good stuff for binding the materials down, and these will just snap off. Ping pong. Poof. And then we want a nice some peacock eye feathers. These things, come on, been fly tying for 30 years, 30 something years, and I can't remember what that was called. Anyway. So I've just run these along my thumbnail to put a little curve in them, and then sit them. You want these to be slightly longer again than the end of the wing. And these flutter about and flick about in the wattat. So just try and get them all on top of the fly. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Try and get them all on top, and then these little scissors, by the way, are invaluable. I don't know where I got them. I don't know how much they were, but they're called Popo. This is an advertisement for Popo. If you're out there, Popo, sponsor me. But they're invaluable. They're little curved needle points, and they trim absolutely down to the bone. I'm just tidying up a tiny little bit of fox I've got here stuck. The joy of cone heads is you can get away with a little bit of mess because the cone itself will cover some of the shitey bits. I need a Spey hackle. Has anyone seen my Spey hackles? I literally, there they are. So I'm going to use this sort of, I think it's supposed to be banana. I don't bloody know, but it's lovely. It's a nice brown colour. These are pretty hard to get good quality Spey hackles, because there's been a shortage of pheasants or something like that. So I heard. So I'm just preparing this feather. Grab the tip and sweep it all backwards. And we don't want the soft stuff. This actually makes very good dubbing, by the way. If you have a coffee grinder, I just lob all that in, and it makes great dubbing for your shrimps and stuff like that. So grab it by the tip, tie that in, and then just hold that securely. 1, 2, 3, and then just grab the tip, fold it back. Another 3 turns will do it. And then you can remove that or just leave it. So take your Spey hackle. You can double this beforehand. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I'm doing it now, in fact. I'm just kind of lazy. I like to get on with things. Shout out to the bipolar massive out there. This is the most bipolar thing I've ever done, sat in a room talking to myself. To be fair, it's not. It's not. I've done madder things than this. Anyway, I'm just turning. It's up to you how much you want to put on. I'm just going to rattle this whole feather on. Because it seems a waste not to. So that's me got to the very end of the thin part of the stem. I couldn't tie any more on because the stem becomes thick after. So I'm just keeping the tension on the thread. 1. I'm winding back the way towards the fly, just through this, just to get it secure. 3 turns. And then I like to give this a pull. Any hackle, when I've tied it off, I like to pull it back in the other direction before I cut it. And then just grab all of this. So get everything swept back. And then I'm just going back about 1 millimetre and putting the turns in to secure that, and this will all spring back to life. It's a really lovely fly, actually. I can't wait to fish it. So I will be posting, as part of my Get Off My Arse and Do Stuff this year campaign, I will be posting fishing videos. The first one will be from the River Tummel on the East Hobbit. Ha ha. Anyway, that's me tied that on. At this point, choose your cone, choose your destiny. I have many cones to choose from, but on this particular occasion, I'm going to use a gold cone head. This one was a tungsten cone, a tungsten turbo cone, which creates turbulence and fluffs the fly up. Apparently, that's what they say. This is just a normal cone. Use good quality cones, my advice to you all day long. Frankenschneider are the only cones I'll use, and I'll only use them in gold because I've never found a coloured cone that doesn't chip. Anyway, back to the job at hand. I'm not squeezing this. You can't, you don't want the super glue all running out here willy-nilly. I'm just dabbing tiny amounts all around the fly. You want this thread really well solidly finished or something like that. Oh shit, see it. That's what happens. I've put a little too much glue on there, but not to worry. See, I got away with it. It didn't bleed in too much, and the cone's going to cover the rest of that. So On with the cone, grab all the materials again and push that on. And just hold it for a few seconds. Always have fresh super glue if you're tying Templedogs. More good advice. And there we go. That's the fly essentially tied. Remove it from the vise. Trim about 2mm from the end. Take your favourite lighter and just slowly melt that down. I find that if you just sort of bob the flame up and down and stop talking, Grant, while you're doing it, you won't blow the flame out. But anyway, wait until that dries, a couple of seconds. I like to just pop it back on there, just to keep the hole open. And there we go, that's the fly tied. Pretty pleased with that, actually. That's quite good for me, while that talking. So, what do you do at the end of a YouTube video? Well, we get the hairdryer out. Let's get the... Oh, no, I can't. I've moved my fly tying desk and I've no plugs, so you can't get the... Watch this. There we go. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm mainly active on Instagram. If you would like to see any flies tied, give us a shout. And I'll try and do more of these as and when requested. Thank you very much. Goodbye, etc.